It's that time of year where it's time for the celebrity golf tournament for the J Fund. Coach Tom Coughlin, so kind enough to join us. Can you believe that this is the 29th year of this here?
29. It's hard. It is hard to believe, but when you go one at a time, eventually it all, ends up. You're talking about 30 years with the Jaguars, 29 years for the J Fund, and that's exactly the way we said. I said when we came to Jacksonville, Judy and I said we would like to do something to help families who have a child with cancer. It would be in the name and the likeness and spirit of Jamie Gillis.
How fantastic is this event, and just kind of tell some of the families that you get to interact with that have been helped by the J Fund over the years?
Well, that's the rewarding part, especially when the child, beats cancer, and even though he's gone through a terrible time, he or she, when they get to that end of it, it's a wonderful thing to see. So, this is what we do it for. We know how desperate families become when they're told that terrible news. Your child has cancer. The world stops. It goes in a lot of different directions for them. Two incomes become one. It becomes even more difficult. And that's what the J Fund is all about, trying to be there, especially in terms of, in all practical ways, but to keep a roof over their heads, because that keeps the family together.
You mentioned 30 years of the Jaguars. You're also going into the pride of the Jaguars this year. Has that set in, that moment has finally come?
Well, it will here in a little bit, that's for sure. It's coming quick.
Was that something that I think you knew what your resume said, but is that something that's still kind of surreal, or going to be surreal on that moment when you see your name unveiled as a member of the pride?
Well, I was the first head coach. Yeah. I was in charge of personnel. I really believed, and I always told Wayne Weaver this, I acted and believed like it was my team. And so from that standpoint, there's a big part of me, my family, my wife Judy and I, which when you start something like this, you do it, in my opinion, for the historical precedent. And that's what it was. And that's why it's so important and so meaningful to me.